Hi, and welcome back to episode 16, Fort Wayne 22, We're at Home podcast. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
Today is a very special episode. It's our first all-female episode, and today is my first day hosting, so if I'm a little nervous, that is why. So let's start off with introductions. Katie, you go first.
My name's Katie Jordan. I work for Allen County Veteran Service Office, so I'm a veteran service officer. I'm also an Army veteran. I've deployed to Afghanistan, and I'm also president of the Indiana Veteran Service Officer Association.
Wow. Rachel?
Hi, I'm Rachel. I work for the Department of Veterans Affairs in the Office of Suicide Prevention. I'm also a mental health provider, mom, wife. Happy to be here with these wonderful ladies to talk about veterans and women and mental health.
Katie?
I'm Kate. I am here with Action Over Silence to End Veteran Suicide, offering peer support for veterans. And I'm also a Navy veteran myself, wife, mom, horse lover, animal extraordinaire.
Well, welcome, ladies. Thanks for coming on today. In our eyes, we see you guys as champions of what we do for our veterans, and each of us get to help veterans in a specific way, and we work alongside you. And so we're happy to have you on today. I want to talk about your guys' time in the service. Katie, you were in for
7 years.
7 years, and you were a mom.
Yep.
While you did it.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about that.
So my military story is very interesting. I like to say I'm kind of a unicorn because I started first in the National Guard, got activated for wildfires in Florida, and then I decided I didn't want to do that. It was time to go active, and I was stationed in Fort Campbell, where I then met my husband. My husband and I were both stationed there. We then got married, had a child, and then I deployed to Afghanistan for a year. When we came home, during that year, my daughter actually lived here in Indiana. And when we came home, she was 3. And then we PCS to Colorado and immediately had baby number 2. And then I was looking at another deployment, and I knew at that point it was time for me to exit the military and be a mom. And so I exited the military. And I decided mom was my job. And then I was able to help support my husband through the rest of his military career that then lasted 20 years. We finished off at Fort Bragg. And then when he retired about 4 years ago, we moved here to Indiana. And I always get the question because I'm originally from Florida. So everybody always asks, what brought you to Indiana? I'm like, well, I fell in love with a man.
Same. Ditto. So I was not a mom in the military, and one of my biggest regrets was hating on the moms while I was in the military. If I could go back, I would tell that 18-year-old girl to shut up, right? And so what was that like, leaving your babies?
The hardest thing was that deployment, that year deployment. And then coming back, I came back about month 9, and then I had just like 3 months after. I was the angriest little lady around the fob because I just wanted to be home for those 3 months.
Yeah.
So it was very hard. I really tried to compartmentalize, and I didn't call home that often. And that's one of my biggest regrets also. So we all kind of have regrets in our life, right?
Right.
So not calling home as much to talk to her because it brought you back home.
Right. Mess with your mind.
Yeah. Man, we got deep real quick, didn't we?
Yeah. Well, and I think that's a big part of women veterans and our time in the service is being a mom, and people don't know how hard it is, right? And that 18-year-old Alex, when I was complaining because I had to take so-and-so's watch because she had to take her kids to the doctor, right? And I didn't see the magnitude of it. It's like, that is her child. Of course she's going to go take her to the doctor, Alex.
Yep.
And she doesn't really care what you think about, you taking her watch. And now that I am a mom, I look back and I'm like, I just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
It would be so difficult for me. And like you said, I understand not being able to call home because, I mean, it would wreck me every single time. Like you'd have to be in a different headspace, and I understand
Yeah.
that action. So,
And along with those lines, it was really hard to even pull like the 24-hour duties. And then after that 24-hour duties, you go pick up your baby and your mom for another 48 hours.
exactly.
So there's no rest.
Yeah. Well, kudos to you, because that's just something that I personally don't think that I could do. So good job.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
What about you? Tell us about your time in the service.
So I was in for 5 years active. And I think, I joined technically. It's kind of an embarrassing story because my recruiters met me when I was a waitress at Hooters. And so
Hey, they got to
Showing
meet us.
whatever
They got to
gets you
meet us
in.
somewhere. You got to better your life
Right,
somehow. Yeah.
right. And I was like, I'm going to join the Navy and see the world. And I saw North Carolina. And I think the hardest part for me was seeing all the families. My ex-husband and I had tried our entire marriage to have children, and because of infertility, I couldn't have kids while I was in the military. So I kind of adopted like my best friend's kids, and our husbands at the time were both deployed at the same time. So she's home as a single mom with 2 young children. I'm at home with my 2 dogs, which were my children, and having to do the 24-hour watch. She had to pull that duty as well because we were stationed at the hospital, so ours was once a month. So we didn't have it that badly. But who's going to watch your kids, or who's going to let your dogs out to go to the bathroom while you're at the base for 24 hours? You can't leave. And I took on that role of like that auntie, and I filled the role of their mom while she was at the hospital.
Yeah.
So that was hard, seeing what I wanted so badly, but not being able to grasp that
Right.
when I was in. And I think my biggest regret then, looking back, is I wish I would have just stayed single and gone on the deployments and been like with the Marines and been a badass and just
And
had
live that-
fun
yeah,
and
live that
live
life.
that instead of trying to worry about being a mom.
Right. That's understandable. But how lucky of your friend to have someone like you
Mhm.
to be able to trust you and have her care, because I know like a lot of moms, like the family care plan was always an issue.
Mhm.
And especially if you're dual military, I saw that a lot where, who takes the kid, it's going to be back and forth deployments. The kid may have to go back to a different state, to
I
your
got out of the
mom's.
Army on a family care plan chapter.
Yeah. And so,
Yeah.
and let's be honest, the military does not care
Oh no.
about you and your family and the family care plan.
No.
And so, some of these moms, they'd have to send their kid off to, thousands of miles away to a different state to have, their family take care. So I think that's really honorable of you to be able to kind of step in and take care of her kids. So,
And I think it's like when I was a dog mom only, they were going to deploy us at the same time, my husband and I. And they're like, well, you'll just have to put your dogs in a kennel. And we had a special needs
for
dog.
9 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're like, or you'll just have to get rid of it. Like, I mean, we paid money for this dog, and you don't just they just don't care.
Yeah.
They don't care about your family life at all when
Yeah.
you're in.
I mean, you are a number.
Uh-huh.
You're definitely a number. And Rachel, you did not serve. However,
not.
you serve us as we get out of the military. And
Yes.
very, very important job. Tell us a little bit about what you do.
Okay, so
And you're awesome at your job. Just
Yes,
an
yes,
FYI.
she is.
Thank you. And I'll go back to kind of what led me down this path a little bit too, because I wasn't in the military, but my brother was. And so I kind of have that family perspective of what that looks like. And he's the baby of the family. He's my baby brother. And he served in both the Marine Corps and the Army. And so from an from a family's perspective, it's been interesting to have that experience as well and kind of see what he has gone through and missing holidays and missing important family events. And then also, now that he's out of the military, what that reintegration back into family life looks like, having missed a lot of things, and how he handles that. He's freshly out of the military. So myself working with veterans and then also having a brother who's a veteran who's had his own struggles has been
Right.
good for me to experience. It's helped kind of guide my perspective in some of the work that I get to do with veterans. But I've been a mental health provider for a while now. I've worked in community care and in inpatient psychiatric care, but I've always loved working with veterans. I've always had a special place in my heart for veterans. I've always enjoyed that work. So I went into the VA system originally working with a lot of traumatic brain injury in the physical medicine and rehab side, and did a lot of awesome things with adaptive sports and adaptive cycling. I got to travel some with that work. And then everywhere I looked, I saw mental health come up as a concern. So whether it was on the physical medicine and rehab side and some of the guys struggling with trying to regain function, or if it was down on the dementia unit, or if it was just with some of the guys coming in for primary care, it was a reoccurring theme that continued to come up. And I really wanted to embrace that and figure out how I could help more in that area. So I went back to school and got my master's in social work and started working as a mental health clinician, serving veterans. And after doing that for a while, a very unique opportunity came up with suicide prevention under a program called Community-Based Interventions for Suicide Prevention, where really the goal is the community is where people live and work. It's where they spend their time. It's where their families are. And so how can we, as this big nationwide healthcare system of the VA, how can, we take something so big and kind of bring it down to the local level and help people where they are here in the community. And I get to do that through engaging with awesome organizations and with our VSOs and programs like FW22, and just really saying, like, how can I support the work you do? Help
Right.
me support what you do in any way that I can. And how can the VA do better to form good relationships and partnerships and answer questions? And I absolutely love that I get the opportunity to be able to do that, because I think it's needed and it's very beneficial.
Yeah, I like that your job is so involved with the community, because myself, I worked at the VA, and while the VA does great things, the veterans don't want to be there, right? This is a hospital environment. It's a government environment. So meeting them where they are in any aspect of their life, with FW22 Action Over Silence, where it's not so much of like a medical setting as like, I'm coming to you to help you. And so I really like that community engagement in all of our jobs, because, you're out and about. I see you everywhere. We work, right alongside you. So it is very important that we meet our veterans in a safer, more comfortable environment for them.
Yeah,
Meet
that's
'em where
something I
they're
really,
at.
Yeah,
and that's something I
absolutely.
really learned as a therapist too in the VA system was, veterans would come in for their appointment, and just from the minute sometimes that they enter, that's a very difficult environment. To be honest, none of us really enjoy going to the doctor, into a
Right.
medical environment.
Mhm.
And so when you add that extra layer of mental health, to be able to start that relationship somewhere where they are comfortable makes it so much easier to get them then to engage in the care that they need.
Right.
Right. A lot of times they would come in for therapy and say, hey, do you want to go on a walk? Do you want to go outside? Like, healing doesn't have to happen inside four walls.
Right.
Right. And that's what I love about community and the work that everybody does, whether it's with horses, whether it's, motorcycles or bowling. Like, healing really is a personal journey, and mental health doesn't have to be inside the four walls of a therapy office.
That's a good way to look at it. And before I transfer to my next question, I want to recognize Jared and his ability to truly see that women and men have very different experiences in our mental health journeys and in our service. And he's given us this opportunity by one, bringing us on board, utilizing us in a way where we, women can't speak to men's experiences and men can't speak to women's experiences. So really giving us this platform to highlight what we go through and our journey. So Jared, when you do see this, thank you for that. I want to touch base on your experience with men and women and the biggest differences that you see when they're going through, whether it be mental health, journeys. What are the biggest differences that you see?
Can I also add that I would love for you to kind of mention some of those female veteran statistics that you and I have kind of discussed
Please.
in your realm.
Like, for instance, and I'm not a doctor, but I know that women are more open to getting on medication than men are.
Yeah.
And maybe they're more open, honest about the struggles that they go through than some of the men who maybe it's like pulling, teeth to say, tell me what's really happening. What are the biggest differences?
Well, I think that, and I think we're doing a better job at this now, but I think just if you look at big picture, I think that historically the VA has kind of, because we associate veterans mostly with males,
Right.
I think the VA has mostly been looked at as a place for males.
Right.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
And so I think, one of the things we're doing better is some of the women's programs that we have now that specifically address the needs of women, like our military sexual trauma program.
Absolutely.
Like we have a women's only group because that is very important when you're talking about something like military sexual trauma, for them to be able to have that safe space that they can connect with other women. And you talked about differences. Women, I think, are more likely to do that. They're more likely to engage in a group activity, kind of like we are now, right?
Mm-hmm. It's womanhood.
It's womanhood. Yeah, right?
Absolutely.
It's your village. It's your community. So I think women are more likely to kind of be more comfortable in those group settings, where I think men not as much, right? They kind of prefer that one-on-one,
I walk alone type.
I walk alone.
I walk alone.
Right? High level personal responsibility, right? It's I should be able to fix this kind of myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that just like outside of the military, one of the things I notice is women have complex experiences. I mean, so do men, but all the things that you talked about, like navigating motherhood while during their time in the military, and pregnancy and female related issues, or trauma, all of those things, childbirth, or being away from your family and trying to raise little kids. A lot of those things that we experience outside the military, they also experienced during their time in the military.
Yeah.
So,
And the catcalling.
Yeah.
And not being able to walk down the side of the street without 50 Marines whistling at you, and the fear of, oh my gosh, my husband's going to think I'm cheating.
Right. Yeah. That's definitely, and everywhere you go, and I'm sure you guys understand this, right? There's 20 to 1.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So there's one. And so
short bathroom lines,
short bathroom lines,
Yeah.
but like also like always just being, am I in a safe space right now?
Yeah.
Like, or is anybody around me have ill intentions? Like constantly being on that alert, which is a healthy thing, a safety thing, but also maybe not that healthy because you're always like, I don't know. Am I here?
I think that's kind of why I took on that personality of like the witch.
Right.
And I was the, hard-nosed, I'm not going to take any crap from anybody, and I'm going to make it so that you hate me, as a way of keeping them away.
I 100% understand that. And you might have told me, but I missed it. What did you do
So in the military, I was a radio operator. So I worked on communications. I was
Okay.
in an aviation unit. I was actually in the same aviation unit as Blake Evans,
Oh,
who
okay.
so
Oh,
him and my husband served together.
Okay.
really?
Yes. So it's kind of a
I grew
small
up with
world.
them.
Yeah. So
Aw,
it's a really
small world.
small world.
Yeah.
We went to the very first Pathfinder reunion. I talked to them and I was like, "Where do y'all live?" I was like, "Oh, we're moving there in like 6 years." So it's a small world. So I was in communications in that aviation unit, and so I had a different experience because my husband was in the same brigade as me. Now, going through that, like freshly married and stuff, I obviously had to kind of say, Josh, don't try to get jealous over me. You married me in the military. This is what it is.
Right.
I'm gonna have I'm gonna have a work husband. That's what it is.
Right.
I'm gonna trust you with your work wives. You trust me with my work husbands.
No, a similar experience. My husband, I met him in the military as
Mhm.
well. And so he wasn't really jealous, but I could see it now where, I'm
Yeah.
just going to hang out with my friends,
Yep.
but I'm the only girl there. And so
Mhm.
he's a guy, he knows, what they think. And so I look back and I'm like, I didn't see it as a threatening situation, but now I'm like, uh, like if you were going out with all women all the time, like
Yeah.
I would have an issue.
Yeah.
But I was, I was loyal, so I never had to worry about that. So what made you get into the VSO world?
That's a good question. So, when I first moved here, I already had a job lined up when my husband retired. I had it lined up 2 months before we even moved here. I'm kind of a planner that way. And so I knew once we hit ground, I was rocking and rolling, and I was a project manager for a wealth management company. And then it came time to do my property tax deduction for my disabled veteran property tax. And I live up in DeKalb County. So I went next door and I was like, "Hey, Miss Rhonda, I need to do that." And I was able to she sat me down, talked to me a little bit, and I saw Rhonda. Shout out to Rhonda Hunkler in DeKalb.
Yeah.
And I saw her and what she was doing. And it's kind of funny. All of us have this connection of like social work or So my degree is in sociology. And so I saw that and I was like, I want to do that job. And so Rhonda inspired me to start looking for any sort of job that had the word veteran in it. And so then I found the position that I have now open and available, and I applied and I just interviewed. And then once because when you first start this position, you are drinking from a fire hose, just
bet.
trying to
Oh, I bet.
learn
I bet.
quick,
Yeah.
see what works, see what doesn't work. And it's still a learning process. That's what I love about my job is I'm learning every day. And since then, I've just been rocking and rolling. And then became president of the Indiana Veteran Service Officer Association.
I was working at the VA when you came on board
Mhm.
with Joe, and I know Joe was already just so swamped, Allen County being one of the biggest counties in Indiana, and he's one of the best at what he does.
Yeah.
I consider you one of the best as well. But when you came on board, my women's health team, who I also worked with in a professional level, was so excited to have you. And
So was Joe.
Yeah, and they're just like inviting
Bet.
you to like all the women veteran things because for a lot of these women veterans, it's easier to talk to
Absolutely.
a woman,
Mhm.
even if it's just as basic as filing for disability. But some of that stuff, I don't want to talk to a man about this.
That and
Mhm.
it's interesting. So since I've been in this position, I've also kind of had Joe start to pick up some of the things that I've experienced. So having a child while active duty, that kind of opens up the doors to other conditions that we can apply for. Like we're gonna get real personal real quick. Urinary incontinence. Whenever
Yes.
you have a baby and you decide to go to a trampoline park, well, you better bring
Absolutely.
some absorbent material.
100%. Yeah.
And so now that's kind of created where the other male CVSOs, especially in our district, because we have district meetings, and I'm able to share that with the other male VSOs saying, hey, if you have a female veteran, ask them these questions. Ask, did you have a baby while active duty? Did you do this? So those probing questions really can help us curate that claim for them.
Yeah. I didn't even think about that as far as like extra things that you could be asking for. Like,
Mhm.
you know, a man probably doesn't even think about that or even look through
Yeah.
that section of the book.
And that's where Joe had never even thought of
Right.
that. And I was like, well, let's
Yeah,
start
well,
asking
you
that.
got me thinking now. I'm like, I didn't have my baby in the service, but I do have some of those issues.
Mhm.
What do you see as far as like females and males coming in? Like, do the females like automatically go to you?
No, not at all. Actually, we've even had some females that come in, and I know we've already talked about MST a little bit.
Mhm.
But if some females come in and they were discussing MST, one of them felt more comfortable working with a male veteran than me, and I said that's perfectly fine. Go. That's what's great about our office is we have that diversity.
Yeah.
So if you feel more comfortable with male, absolutely, and then some males feel more comfortable with women. So
Yeah.
I'm here to support. Joe's there to support. We're just trying to get our job done.
Yeah. What advice would you give to veterans who are looking to either up their disability or file for their disability? I see it all the time and everywhere I go. I see a lot of older veterans who have never filed for disability or tried it once. What would be your all-around advice for veterans trying to
Reach out to your local CVSO.
Yeah.
So that's always going to kind of be my advice is reach
What
out
about,
to a
like-
CVSO.
like the veterans who are old school and they don't want to do it?
So here's a question that I will answer with that question is kind of like, who's the hardest veteran to get to? And that's the one that says, I don't deserve benefits. So that's kind of breaking through those barriers of that veteran that thinks, I don't deserve benefits. There's veterans out there with one leg that they deserve it. There's a pot of money just sitting there for you. You're leaving money on the table.
Right.
Yeah. And benefits out there. So these benefits are out there for all veterans, no matter how you serve. We all serve different. We all have different injuries. Some injuries you can see, some injuries you can't. And so there's always something out there that we can look at.
Right. Yeah. Our experience with veterans, those types of veterans, was like let them know like you may not think that you deserve it because you didn't go to war or anything like that, but every time you come to the VA or get enrolled into the VA, we get VERA dollars, and that's more money that's coming into the VA for veterans who may have, you know, severe injuries. And so the more veterans we get, the more money we get, right? The better equipment we have, the better infrastructure we get. So, and
That's
I
how
come
that's
come
how I
across
get
a
ours.
lot of
Yep.
veterans who say, I don't deserve it. I think, you know, just being younger and not being, you know, a lot of Vietnam vets, like a lot of those, they feel guilty maybe because, you know, they had friends that were, you know, passed away or they didn't get deployed and they don't feel worthy of, you know, getting that money. And it's really hard to get them out of that mindset of, you know, you come in, we get more money.
Exactly.
That's just how it works.
And I use that to get more veterans to enroll into the VA. And especially another thing is if our age veterans are going to get enrolled and they stay active. Staying active is just going once a year, right?
Right.
Once a year, getting told you're too fat and
Right.
you need more sunshine. Got it.
Get that vitamin
Right.
D.
Got
We
that.
all need vitamin D.
and magnesium now.
Exactly. So if that's what it takes to stay active, then that's what it takes. And that's being proactive. So then when you are that older veteran, your children and your grandchildren or whatever aren't having to take care of you and like roll up into VSO's office going, what do I do with this old guy?
Yes.
Like I'm already enrolled. I'm good.
Do you get that a lot of veterans who are, you know, maybe in their 70s or 80s and they're
Yes. So where their children are trying to kind of figure out what can I do with mom or dad, they're kind of old now and they need extra help. They need extra care. How can I get them that extra care? Did you start with the VA?
right. And it would have been so much easier if they were already
Enrolled. Yep.
you know, and not having, and I'm guessing probably the grandchildren or their children didn't serve in the military, so they don't know anything.
Nothing. Yeah.
They know nothing, and they're just, you know, doing anything they can to get their parents' help.
Yeah.
And like, Dad, if you would have done this 25 years ago, it
You
wouldn't
probably
be
would
on
have
my
had compensation
plate.
too.
Yes, it would have
Yeah.
been. Yeah. So I do see that a lot in our area, and I'm like, did they apply for VA benefits? And they're like, nope.
No.
You're like, ah.
I always ask them, a lot of times they'll come into, you know, when they would come in, sometimes the concept of deserve comes up a lot. And so the typical therapist fashion,
Mhm.
I would respond with a question for them. What does deserve mean? Can you quantify that for me? Like, tell me what it means to be deserving of something,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
right? Like, and so that would open the conversation of like, who is setting the standard of what deserve means,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
And where did that come from? How did that get created? And sometimes that could help break through too, because it's like, I'm not really sure what any of
Yeah.
us deserve, right? So
Right,
like,
yeah.
Right.
where is this concept coming from? And
good
was
question.
it something that was developed during your military experience? Is it a concept that developed somewhere along, your life? But like, let's break this down. What does deserve actually mean?
Well, and I think, especially in the Vietnam era veterans, that
Comes up a lot with them.
standard
Yeah.
That's the biggest
is
one.
set
Yes.
from the moment they step foot back on United States soil and getting called the baby killers and being spit at and just treated horribly. And I know Vietnam vets that even if they participate in a parade, it gives them flashbacks of when they got back from Vietnam still.
Right.
And that's the kind of deserving mentality that sticks with them. They were told, you're a horrible person, you don't deserve any of this. Like,
Yeah, it's really hard to try to justify to them like we're turning it around
Mhm.
and it's no longer like that, and we respect your service and you should be congratulated and not, bashed for your service. So, but and those are the biggest ones where you have trust issues with the
Mhm.
government to
mhm.
try to get those
100%.
guys to
Yes.
come in.
Yeah, I think that
Yes.
that's like a great example too of we have men, we have men who are veterans, we have women who are veterans, and then we have all these variety of experiences, and the experience of a Vietnam veteran is very different than the experience of some of our younger veterans. And so
Absolutely.
being able to kind of shift and pivot and
Knowing your audience.
knowing your audience
100%.
and what they need. And I think that's the beauty of being able to work exclusively with veterans, right? Is you really get to hone in on what are some of these key things that keep coming up with veterans of different generations, and how do we help them and how do we approach them? That's a beautiful thing.
Absolutely. One of the things I want to touch on is your guys' experience after you got out of the military as a woman veteran, or what you see veterans coming into to get services.
Rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah. So I can go first. So I got out of the military and I was getting married and I thought everything was going to be hunky dory and I was finally going to, be able to sleep in the same bed with my husband at night, and really just came into this depression. I didn't know anybody here. I couldn't be myself. I was in a new professional corporate, America. I couldn't crack the jokes that I was cracking with my buddies a month ago. And I just really felt alone in it. Something that I hyped up in my head for so long. I'm getting out, it's going to be awesome. And I didn't experience any battles or PTSD or anything like that. But my isolation when I got out was really bad, to the point where my husband was like, Alex, you're not yourself. Like, you need to do something about it. And I reached out to the VA and, got services, and then eventually became acclimated in my area. But I'm just interested in how you guys dealt with that as you guys got out.
So I have two different experiences. I have the when I got out, and then when my husband retired and the whole family spouse transition.
I'd love to hear it. Like,
So the first one, when I got out, I think it was okay because I was still around that military community. I just transferred into a spouse role. And then I was able to still have the community where when you're usually around bases, it's fast and furious. You get stationed somewhere else, you have to find 5 emergency contacts local, and you're like, can I pick you today?
Yeah.
And so, and you just find fast friends in a community, and you're just like everybody's emergency contact, and you have no clue. Like, I hope you're a good person.
Yeah, I hope you answer the phone.
Yeah. So there was that kind of community that then when my husband retired and we moved to Indiana, it wasn't the same. So even that kind of leaving the whole military life is really, really hard. Moving to a different community that doesn't have that military setting of, okay, we got to find friends fast, and then they're going to leave me in another year, and then I got to find another friend to take over that one. And we didn't grow up here. Well, he did, but I didn't grow up here.
Yeah.
So a lot of that isolation also, like I'm having to find new friends and make new friends, become this new soccer mom that wasn't starting the kids at 5 and going up with the team. So it's been kind of isolating at points, but we have each other, and
Right.
we are still working through that and I think we're getting a lot better. Now, what also helps my husband, because that whole military retirement transition was very hard for him too. After 20 years, absolutely.
That's all you know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I know right now that whole Call of Duty, playing with our friends, playing war, that is kind of helping him through the winter months.
Yeah. How did he go from, whatever his job was, you said in communications, and this, I'm serving my country, I'm doing something better. What does he do now?
So that I always laugh because back, when you join the military at first, you're like, man, you're just a private, and you're like, oh, that crusty old first sergeant, like, oh, he's so gross. And then like I'm married, and that's my husband. Like, oh, I got the
Yeah.
crusty old first
He's so
sergeant now.
crusty.
I know, like, oh, there he is. So he retired as first sergeant, and so that was kind of a big adjustment, was being in charge of all these soldiers' well-being, right? And making sure everybody's doing the job they need to do, and just being in charge of so much and having all that responsibility to nothing. I think a big set for him was, what role do I play now? Because before, I was just talking about this with one of my friends. She's getting ready to retire, like their family's getting ready to retire, where you have the family setting just going, and then you have the dad just popping in whenever he's available.
Yeah.
And so it's very hard and kind of traumatic in that kind of family setting. So it was a big adjustment to see now that dad is there with the family unit going forward. So where is his role in that? And is he helping? Is it now 50-50 in a relationship where he is helping with dinners and everything else too? So we've kind of we're still trying to get our groove. One day maybe we'll get it. The kids will
Right.
probably be gone by the time we figure it out. And so just kind of getting into that family groove. But so what he's doing now, he is now in an apprenticeship for an electrician.
Okay.
So we always kind of joke and we just say, I'm just a blue collar man. So he's got the full retired beard and everything.
Oh, yeah.
too.
My husband had it for a couple of years until finally, like, it has to go.
I know.
Like, you've had your time.
Stop trying to kiss me.
Yeah. Like, it has to
no.
go. Yeah.
Keep the beard,
Oh.
Well,
especially if they have a little gray in it.
He's
And
got
he
that.
can keep it to an extent, but I feel like just like everybody who gets out of the military kind of goes buck wild for a little bit, like cutting your hair, getting your nails done, stuff that we couldn't do.
Oh, yeah.
And for men, it's how long can I grow my beard before my wife kills me? And for a while, I let it go. You do you
Yep.
know, whatever you got to do. And it just got too straggly and gross. So I'm like, just keep it like clean shaven. Like you can still have your beard and do, buck the system, but it has to be like nice.
I got Josh to one time because he was going through the growing, shaving. I got him to shave it right before his VA ID card picture. I got him to shave it into the Hulk Hogan. And so that's his VA picture. And I'm like, that's amazing.
Yeah, that's funny. What about you? How was your experience as you got out?
It was different. I'm from here.
Okay.
So I kind of, when I moved back I brought my ex-husband back here, and came from a very close-knit family, a large family. And I was like, we're just going to pop right back in like it was
Like we never left.
before I left.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And the isolation of feeling like your friends that you grew up with forgot you and you're not included anymore. That was the hardest piece to overcome. When I got out, I got my bachelor's as an elementary education teacher. And I taught for a few years at a private school and feeling the need, like I had to be perfect all the time, and this expectation of perfection, and not being true to that person that I became while I was in the military. That was hard to kind of correlate together,
Yeah.
because I felt like I needed to wear like a clutch of pearls and a 1950s dress and heels and be prim and proper. And obviously I threw all of that out the window with facial piercings and a full sleeve tattoo. And I mean, I had bright red hair for the longest time, after I left teaching and everything, just because I was like, I've been restricted for so long, and that was my rebellion for
Right.
not being able to feel like I was allowed to be my true self.
Yeah. No, I understand that 100%. I feel like when you're in, your family and your friends hold you to this like standard, this pedestal that they put you on. And when you get out, you want to remain on that pedestal of, I did something great. I served my country, but I don't have any answers right now. I'm out here just winging it, right? I don't know what I want to do in my civilian life. I have no answers. I'm severely depressed. I'm isolated, but I'm not going to show that to my friends and family because they're going to look down on me.
Yeah.
Right? Until I finally just was like, nobody has answers. Yeah. Everybody's feeling this way. If I come out and I say it, like I'm just being honest with myself, and the person next to me is probably feeling the exact same way, and just trying to be open and honest about how you're truly feeling. But again, and I'm sure Rachel knows this, that's a hard place to get. That's a hard place to
100%. And it also takes the right audience to receive
100%,
it for you to want to continue that journey of honesty, right? And sometimes a lot of people are coming back to friends and family who they didn't have that from the start. So then that even contributes to the isolation, right? Because now they're trying to discover, like, they're going through all these challenges. Who am I now? Like, maybe their career didn't transfer back into civilian life as well. And so now they're kind of feeling like, now I've got to start all over with that too. And now I'm a mom, and not just in the military, but
right.
And I also don't have people around me who I feel like I can talk to and just be honest with about the way that I'm feeling. And that can be very isolating. I also think there's a bigger, like I said in the beginning, a lot of times when people in the community think about veterans, the image that pops in their head is a man, right? And so I think, when you go to your local, VFW, or AMVETS, different veteran organizations, like it's primarily a lot of older men. And so when you're a woman coming out of the military, and communities particularly important to women, like where are my people? Who are the people? Yeah, where do I belong? Who are the people that I can relate to? And my experience. Because I also think that men tend to kind of be able to formulate some friendships and relationships a little bit easier. I don't know about you all, but I think my husband made like 2 new friends just off Facebook Marketplace alone this week. Just off of he literally saw some guy in a parking lot who liked each other's trucks. And now they're friends.
And they're just so like out there, like why women, I'm like, oh, she's judging my parenting skills because I'm about to rip my daughter through, because she's screaming in the aisle, like she's definitely judging me. Men are be like, what's up, bro? And like all of a sudden they have a friendship.
Well, and speaking of judgment, like even the way you look.
Oh, yeah.
If you don't meet that physical standard of what a veteran is supposed to look like when you first get out, they just hold that so against you. And I hold it against myself. And I think other people are holding it. So that judgment is always there.
Yeah. And it messes with your psyche.
Yeah. I have a funny story though. So when I went through a divorce and I was on a date on Veterans Day at Applebee's.
Did you get it free? Was it free?
It was free. I picked it because I was like, oh, this will be a cheap date, They
love me.
Yeah. And we go to order the veterans meal, and the waitress looks at the guy that I was on the date with, and, oh, sir, what would that be? And I was like, I'm the veteran. And she was like, oh, I'm so sorry. But it's just like,
Mine's a parking lot of Home Depot. You park in that veteran parking up front
Oh yeah.
with the Army plate, and you walk out and you get stared at as you walk in. And then you get asked specifically, what
Are you-
branch were you?
Like, because I just parked here. so I
Army,
could-
sir.
Yeah.
I stole the license plate
Yeah.
just so I could pretend to be a
Yeah.
veteran.
And it's really
just to get
common with
front spot.
older veterans.
Mhm.
It's the old guys. You know, they only know what they know, but you know, in their time, there was no women there. And so I've run into a lot of things where it's like they're giving out USO, maybe at the airport or whatever, where they'll say, well, in my day, women didn't serve. I liked it that way. And I shake my head and I say, have a nice day. You know, he's 90 years old. I'm not going to change his mind.
Right.
But
Thank you for your service.
yeah, thank you for your service. But, you know, my husband's a veteran too. And I always get, thank you for your service, sir. Thank you so much. And then they look me dead in the face. And I just, you know, I don't take offense to it anymore. I'm like, you're welcome.
Get
Have a nice
ready.
day. Yeah.
Right? Get ready because women veterans
Oh,
growing,
yeah.
growing
It's the fa-
population.
it's the
Yep, it
fastest
is.
growing population.
Yes.
And so I have a friend who I just talked to recently. Her wife, she served and she got out. Well, her wife, who is now 40 years old, is going to get into the Navy, active duty.
What?
And I said, really? And she
Why?
said, that's what I thought the same thing.
I thought
but
they lowered the age, but
yeah,
that's what I'm
I
thinking
thought the same
about.
thing. And I was just, you know, curious about it. And she told me, you know, healthcare issues, you know, all that kind of thing. But she said the recruiter was telling her that more higher aged individuals are now joining than like 18 and 19, 20, which I found very interesting. So I haven't looked it up yet, but maybe just because the economy is bad and it's hard
Yeah.
to get good healthcare and good benefits, that older people are saying,
Right.
4 years ain't really nothing. Like, I can do that. Like, we're not really in a war status. Like, depending on where I go, I can bring my family with me. So I found that very interesting
I had a
because
nightmare about rejoining a few months ago.
I think about it all the time. I'm like, oh, if I went back, like I have my degree now, like how would it go? And then
that's it.
it goes in my head and then it quickly goes out. I'm like, there's no way. Like if you asked me to do a 12-hour shift, a nighttime 12-hour
Oh
shift,
gosh, I would
like
die.
I just wouldn't be able to do it.
That's
would
it.
die.
9:30. What
Yeah,
are you
like
talking about?
no, thank you. Like or like the PT or any of that stuff. Like
Oh, my knees wouldn't function.
no, I don't think I'd be able to pass a physical exam. They're gonna be like,
I think Rachel and I could do it.
We did do the 22K,
We did
and we
the
even stopped for ice
22K.
cream in the middle, and we had no problems. Jared kept checking on us, and
Yep.
we're like, listen,
We're fine.
Jared,
we're
fine."
good. We're
Yeah.
good.
We
Well,
did start the ice cream trend, though.
Yes.
Mm,
Others followed.
I could walk it.
Say,
I
if
swam
you-
my
if you-
PRT.
yeah, that's what we did.
If you
Yeah.
could do it, go, girl, go.
Mhm.
I'm back here with a sign because I'm not going to do it. But if you're going to do it, I'm going to support you.
I
We
think
were
in
in
the
it the
next,
whole
we should
time.
get a
Yep.
golf cart.
Oh, yeah.
And,
you know what I'm
and
saying?
we'll
Like,
have the sign in
listen,
the
I
back.
already paid my dues. Like, I'm just going to live a life of not doing whatever you're doing. Like, I don't want to walk.
I'd do it again. There was ice cream in the middle.
Yeah.
Well, it
get
was like the
horses.
non,
Yeah,
you know,
that'll work.
the
We'll ride
honorary
the horses.
non-veteran. I feel like I got to really, you know, like show up.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, Jared, I'll do it. And he's like, really?
Actually,
and I'm
you-
like, yeah,
You
I
did
will.
serve. You did serve. You are family. Families serve as well. I'm just saying.
It was great for me because Rachel was there, so I had someone to walk with the whole time.
Yeah. That's awesome. So we're wrapping up our time. So before we end, I want to go through everybody, and if you have advice or knowledge or anything that you want our audience to hear, whether it be mental health, getting services, anything that you want our audience to know, what would you say? I'll give you some time to ponder it.
Everybody looks at me.
Yeah.
Everybody
start that
I
way.
would
It's the
say,
green.
like,
It's the beautiful green
definitely,
color.
you know, reaching out to the CVSOs because they are so knowledgeable. Katie has helped me with my own claim. I put my paperwork in a couple years ago to try to increase mine because I have sleep apnea now from my health issues from other stuff, and that I was diagnosed with in the military, and I got denied as a secondary comorbid diagnosis.
Mhm.
And she definitely helped get the right information on the paperwork, the proper placement of it and everything to help me with that claim. You know,
It's a process, but it's worth it.
yeah,
It
it
is.
Right.
is.
It
It
is.
is so worth it.
The benefits are worth it.
Yeah.
And
The wait is worth it too, because my biggest thing, people will call me a week later, like, where's my claim at? This is a federal process.
It's going to take some time.
Like taxes to get
Right.
accepted can take just as long. So
Right.
it's a federal process that you're getting tax-free dollars for the rest of your life. I would expect them to want to do their due diligence.
Absolutely.
So taking that time, and if it's an initial claim, we usually say about 4 months to a year, depending on how complex it is. So just take that time.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's worth it at the
Yes,
end.
absolutely.
100%.
Yeah. And the benefits that come with it, like property tax deduction or college tuition exemption. And these are just state benefits. And the fun thing with state benefits is I can tell you what they are right now today, but next year they may not be there or they may be better because legislation is always changing. So that's kind of one thing I would encourage veterans to do is to get involved with those veteran service organizations like the VFW, the American Legion. Go out there, get involved, make the change. And if you see something is wrong with legislation, make that change. Be that voice.
Yeah, in Indiana, I know like a lot of our the higher ups, like not our old governor, Senator Jim Banks, like they're for military 100%. So things are always getting better, and they're always looking, like as far as veteran benefits and the things that we have, like they're always looking to improve it.
Absolutely.
So
yeah. And I say, even joining organizations like you said, like the VFWs or the Legions, coming in, helping out, or volunteering with FW22, joining a place
And not
like
just being in the auxiliary.
joining the place like Summit Equestrian Center, because you're connecting with other veterans. And when I started going back for my master's to be a mental health therapist to work specifically with veterans, that was really when my life started to feel fulfilled. Turning around, because we can't ask for help for ourselves, but we're really good at helping other veterans. So when you join organizations like this, you're fulfilling that need that we are missing from when we were in the military.
Yeah.
And so it gives your life a sense of purpose. It gives you a sense of purpose. And then you're helping other people.
You're watching me fulfill my purpose right now. And that is
Exactly.
with getting with Jared, where I was just like, I'm missing something in my life. I miss working with the veterans because I, stopped working at the VA. What can I do? And he brought me on board, and this fulfills that purpose. It brings me that sense of community, that family that I was missing, that I loved so much in the military. I loved that camaraderie. I loved having 20 brothers at one time who would go to war for me. You know what I'm saying? Like if a Marine came at me sideways, like, I loved that.
Yes. And we support each other so well.
I loved that. I loved being able to talk to somebody who knew, I'm bitching and griping, but they understand, and I love that. And being part of Fort Wayne 22 has brought that back into my life. And so I understand what you get involved, find your community. It may take a while. You may try some things and you're like, you know what? Those are not really my people. But, I'm going to continue to put myself out there. And, sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it can be embarrassing, time consuming, but eventually you're going to find your family. You're going to find your home, and it's going to fix so many things.
I think that's why I'm excited about the women's veterans group that we're trying to put together, to experience different things that maybe they're not or haven't been exposed to.
Right.
I was
the
at
community.
Yeah,
I was at community.
Combat Vets Association, the meeting last weekend. Met a gal, a combat veteran from South Bend. She's like, "Oh, I have an archery row in my backyard. Like I have compound bows, I have crossbows, I have longbows. Like if you're doing a women's veterans group, you guys should totally come up and I can get you on the range and we can shoot." And I was like, that sounds awesome.
That does sound awesome.
Going fishing on Lake Erie, learning about bees, or just experiencing other things other than reaching for the bottle or the pills, or whatever it is that you're
Isolation
using to
or those
numb.
vapes.
Yeah.
Oh, stop.
Just saying.
I mean, the military raises you to be very dependent on alcohol and tobacco.
It
I'm
is.
just saying.
It is.
and
And then
that is part of breaking the stigma.
breaking the culture. I wonder what it's like now. Like, do people still smoke cigarettes in the military?
Oh,
Right?
well, you have to be 21 now, don't you?
I don't know.
Yes.
Well,
Really?
back then, that was the only way
Yeah.
you could get a
They
break.
used to give them out.
I know.
Yeah, that was the only way you could get a break. Like, I literally started smoking in the military so I could take a break like the rest of them.
I would just go out there with the smokers, and then I'd be like, "Oh, you
Oh, it
guys
smells so
stink."
bad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like,
And then I got
Yeah.
out, and then the vapes got big, and it's like, like
Yeah.
I should have just stuck to my job, and I didn't really need that break. Was it worth it? No, it
Yes.
wasn't. Yeah.
Yes.
All right, Rachel, we'll end with you.
Okay. I think that, from a mental health perspective, it's really easy to become comfortable with our discomfort, right? So we develop a level of comfortability in where we are, even if we don't really like it. So, and I think veterans in general have a very high tolerance for discomfort,
Very high.
right? And so, trying to create some awareness, like it doesn't have to be that way, right? We don't really want to develop that level of comfort with our emotional and mental discomfort, right? And a lot of veterans will come in and say, after their first therapy session, say, that wasn't as bad as what I thought it was going to be, right? The unknown is always scary. But there are people who care deeply for you and want to understand your journey and want to help you, and also want to learn from you. I have learned so much from the veteran community and the work that I do. Like I would say it is an absolute privilege to sit with people in their pain and in their suffering, and I truly believe that. Like it is a privilege to be able to sit along people and hear about their stories and hear about what they're going through. And so any guilt or shame that individuals have attached to that or veterans have attached to that, I just want them to understand that a lot of us do truly see it as a privilege to be able to share in that experience and help them in any way that we can. So it's not as scary as therapy's not as scary as what we think it is.
Rachel, I think you're a super scary person, and I would never want to meet you in an alleyway because you might present me with some flowers.
And hard questions.
Yeah, and
Yes,
and
I
hard
like to say,
therapy
how are you
questions.
really?
Yes,
Right?
like-
Isn't that one of the scariest questions that people can ask us? And like we have to answer honestly. Like, tell me what's
I'd
really
rather
going
run
on.
into a
Oh my
mugger.
gosh.
Right? And ask like,
Yeah.
how are you? Really?
Oh,
Yeah.
I threw my husband under the bus with his doctor. He was like, "Oh, I'm fine," and he's sitting there with this
And halt.
he,
Tell him
like
the truth.
this cheesy grin, and I'm like, "He's lying to you. He is lying. He is not doing okay right now."
Right.
And she's like, "How did she know?" He goes, "Because I'm smiling."
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
You'll live
gonna
with
throw
them.
you out there. No, you're not gonna pretend like it's all okay. And we gotta stop pretending it's all okay. It's okay to not be okay.
Yeah.
That's
And that's
what
why
I was gonna say.
Jared's famous words.
you
It's
go.
okay not to be
Yep.
okay. And
Yeah.
the more that we say that and we truly live it by example, I'm an open book. Jared's an open book. And a lot of people that you meet who are in that healing journey, just, you know what? I'm not going to judge you. I've been there. I've been through it.
Mhm.
Like, just tell me what's truly wrong and we're going to work through this together. But you have to get to that part to be honest with yourself to say, I'm struggling here. This is what's wrong. And it's a journey, but it's worth it.
You don't have to know you don't have to know exactly what the problem is. And I think that's hard for people too. Like they want to be able to pinpoint exactly what the issue is. Like you just have to know that there is one
Right.
and that something doesn't feel right. You don't have to know exactly
Right. And
what
I
it
applaud
is
the
to
people
get help.
who say there's something wrong, because that in itself is such a big step.
Yes.
So we are almost out of time, guys, but I just want to thank each and every one of you for what you do, and also, coming on this podcast. We really appreciate all the work that you guys do. Working alongside you guys is such a privilege. And honestly, I'm just ecstatic that we got to do the first all-female Fort Wayne 22 podcast. So, woo! Jared,
Wait, are we woo girls?
Yeah. I want to thank Jared and Tyler again for giving this platform. And thank you guys so much for tuning in.